Good evening, I'm Soraya Mia and you're tuning in to AWANI tonight. Sex crimes exploiting children on the rise, and Putin may announce annexation of Russian-occupied regions in Ukraine within days. That and more coming up. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry will gather female members from all political parties next week to discuss more women representation in politics. Minister Datuk Sri Rina Harun says the meeting will be held in collaboration with the National Council of Women's Organizations.
Kita cuma ada 14% je ahli parlimen di Dewan Rakyat ni, jauh ya, 14% tak sampai pun 20%. So mereka bukan saja perlu untuk dijadikan sebagai calon, tapi nak kena menang. Nak kena menang, nak kena supaya adakan lebih ramai lagi mereka yang berada di Dewan Rakyat ataupun di Dewan Undangan, di Dewan Negeri.
Malaysia previously ranked 103 out of 146 countries on the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Index 2022. While an improvement from its 112 rank last year, it still falls behind neighbors Singapore, Thailand and Indonesia. The index also indicated that Malaysian women ranked among the lowest in terms of political empowerment. There is a growing concern that children are becoming more exposed to sexual crimes not involving physical contact like pornography. PDRM's Sexual Women and Child Investigation Division D11 says this is due to widespread access to smartphones and the internet. Principal Assistant Director ACP Siti Kamsia Hassan said the division received regular reports on sexual crimes involving child pornography. She blamed, among others, advancement in information technology, lifestyle and internet access, especially when mobile phones and the internet is available to all. Siti Kamsia explained one way online predators attack is by establishing a special relationship, then ask for nudes of victims before spreading the materials online when victims refuse to continue the relationship. In 2020, the D11 received 24 reports on sexual crimes investigated under Section 509 of the Penal Code, and last year the number increased to 35. This year, a total of 11 reports were received between January and April. National Recovery Council Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has hit out at Putrajaya for being slow in implementing the Council's recommendation for economic recovery. At a press conference, he said so far they have already sent 95 recommendations to the Cabinet. While 86 recommendations have been approved, only 16 were fully implemented. 30 were in the process of being executed, and 14 has yet to be implemented.
Pasal pemulihan tidak boleh dengan lulus begitu saja. Apa tindakan-tindakan susulan yang harus diambil oleh kerajaan, oleh Perdana Menteri, oleh kementerian, oleh agensi. Pasal perakuan tadi melangkah kepada beberapa bidang-bidang yang melibatkan beberapa belas agensi dan kementerian. Jadi sebab itu bagi kami perlu ada satu kesungguhan. Ada sense of urgency. Kerana kalau nak tunggu memulih tu sampai setahun pulih, saya fikir itu dah terlambat.
The Bersatu President and Perikatan Nasional Chairman maintained that the National Recovery Council was only an advisory body to the government with no powers to implement any measures. This is despite the council including the ministers in charge of finance, trade, defense, works, education, health and economy. Muhyiddin previously claimed that the current administration has failed to lead the country to economic recovery. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Abdullah today chaired a coordination meeting with government agencies on cases involving job scam syndicates and Malaysians abroad. The aim of the meeting, he says, was to refine, monitor and implement action against cases of job fraud. During the meeting, Saifuddin said enforcement agencies presented the results of their investigation and outlined interagency operations to rescue victims and apprehend syndicate criminals. It was reported that the Foreign Ministry had received reports of Malaysians falling victim to job scams in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Thailand. Prior to this, Putrajaya agreed to form a special committee to address the issue of job scams. Saifuddin said the committee would cooperate closely with agencies in the countries involved to ensure that operations were carried out smoothly. He also assured that the government remained committed in its efforts to bring the victims home safely. Leonard Glenn Francis, a Malaysian fugitive involved in the U.S. Navy corruption scandal, has requested asylum in Venezuela after he was arrested there last week. Commonly known as Fat Leonard, he appeared in court a day after his arrest to announce his wish of remaining in Venezuela on medical and political grounds. Local media reported Leonard telling the court that he wanted to appeal for political asylum and that he was suffering from metastatic kidney cancer. By law, the Venezuelan government must consider the asylum request. Leonard slipped away from house arrest in San Diego on September 4th, just weeks before he was due for sentencing in a bribery case where he admitted to overcharging the U.S. Navy by $35 million. He arrived in Venezuela via Mexico and Cuba and planned to continue to Russia from there. Leonard was eventually arrested on September 21st at the international airport outside Caracas while he attempted to board a flight. A significant number of Malaysians are tenants who, for various reasons, rent rather than own their dwellings. Have renters been neglected by government's decades-long policy bias towards promoting home ownership? On Consider This, we ask our guests where the policy blind spots are. We'll go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Sehat ialah satu cara hidup. Cara untuk minum dengan baik, makan dengan baik, dengan bahan-bahan segar dan pelbagai cara yang sehat untuk memasaknya. Bakar, kukus, masak, campur, jus. Khas untuk semua amatur dan pakar. Gaya hidup sehat yang memasak di hujung minggu, menyihatkan badan dan jiwa. Hidup sehat setiap hari bersama Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Welcome back. Leaders from around the world have arrived in Tokyo to pay tribute to former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Long lines of people also gathered at the Nippon Budokan Arena, where the controversial state funeral is being held under strict security.
Demonstrations have taken place leading up to the funeral, as protesters argue the event, estimated to cost $11.4 million, is using precious state resources that could be directed towards more pressing needs. State funerals are normally reserved for Japan's imperial family, but Abe has been given the honour as the country's longest-serving prime minister. As Japan's leader from 2012 to 2020, Abe was a prominent figure on the world stage. Among dignitaries who attended the funeral include US Vice President Kamala Harris and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also in attendance was Australia's Premier Anthony Albanese and Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Abe was gunned down on July 8th while delivering an election campaign speech in the city of Nara.
Russia's Vladimir Putin is likely to announce the annexation of occupied regions of Ukraine into Russia within days. This is according to UK's Defence Ministry that said Putin could make the announcement when he addresses the country's parliament on Friday.
Voting is underway in occupied regions of Ukraine on whether to join Russia, in referendums slammed by global leaders as a sham designed to pave the way for annexation. Ukraine and the West say the result has already been decided by the Kremlin and will be used as an excuse for an illegal land grab. The UK Defence Ministry, in an intelligence update, said Putin would hope that any accession announcement will be seen as a vindication of the special military operation in Ukraine. However, there is increasing domestic awareness of Russia's recent setbacks in the battlefield. Russians are also worried about the partial mobilization announced last week. Large numbers of vehicles are seen leaving Russia, attempting to cross the border into Georgia and Mongolia, following Putin's order to mobilize hundreds of thousands of reservists for the war. Long queues out of Russia via the Finland border were also reported a day ago.
Indonesia's foreign minister called for a new paradigm of collaboration during her speech to the UN General Assembly. Lestari Priyansari Marsudi chastised the international community for heading down the wrong path. She compared the crisis facing the world today with factors that led up to World War II.
The current state of our world is very worrying. The pandemic persists and global economy remains sluggish. War among nations is no longer a possibility, but has become a reality. Violation of international law has become a norm in pursuit of narrow self-interest. Crisis after crisis is unfolding around the world. Climate change, rising inflation, food and energy shortages. If we continue the same path, we will be heading toward a disaster. But if we choose a different path, we might stand a chance. So today, I would like to offer you a word based on a new paradigm. A paradigm of win-win, not zero-sum. A paradigm of engagement, not of containment. A paradigm of collaboration, not of competition. This is the transformative solution that we need.
In other news, Vietnam imposed a curfew and evacuated over 800,000 people as the powerful Typhoon Noru barreled towards the nation. The typhoon has already caused at least 8 deaths and widespread flooding in the Philippines.
Noru was expected to make landfall in Vietnam, with wind speeds reaching up to 183 kilometers per hour. In Da Nang and Quang Nam provinces, a curfew will be in effect starting Tuesday evening. It forbids people from venturing out except those on official duty. Several airports were ordered shut across the country, forcing hundreds of domestic and international flights to be cancelled. The government said around 270,000 military personnel have been placed on standby. Typhoon Noru, one of the strongest storms to hit the region in 20 years, is expected to move to Thailand after Vietnam.
In an effort to diversify its production away from China, Apple has started producing the iPhone 14 in India. The iPhone supply chain is based mainly in China, but the country's zero-COVID policies and tensions with the US have hurt production.
The company already makes older iPhone models in India via Taiwanese manufacturers such as Foxconn, which has a factory in the southern state of Tamil Nadu since 2017. But now Apple is betting big to make its newest product, the iPhone 14, in India, just 3 weeks after launching the product. By betting on India, Apple is also looking to increase its footprint in the country. As of last year, its market share was about 4% there. The tech giant has been struggling to compete with the much cheaper South Korean and Chinese smartphones that continue to dominate the Indian smartphone market.
That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Soraya Mia. Thank you for watching and we'll see you again.